Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot patterning, and today we've got a combo that one of you guys requested to see a good while back. I apologize it's taking me this long to get to it, but turkey season kind of got in the way. Either way, it's definitely a pretty interesting combination that has the potential to give us a pretty nice looking pattern, but it could also kind of flip-flop the other way as well and give us a little bit of a disappointing result. So we're just going to have to try it and see what happens. But as for the shells I brought today, I got out some more of the Winchester Super X buckshot loads, but these ones are the 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch 16 pellet load of 1 buck, moving about 1250 feet per second. These Winchester Super X loads, whether it be double lot, 1 buck, 4 buck, doesn't really matter. They're generally some pretty decent performers. Some of them are better than others, and from what I can remember, this one has been somewhere in the middle as far as performance goes, so we'll see how it does through today's choke combo. But as for the setup we're going to run them through, I brought out my Remington 870 special purpose. It's got a 24-inch barrel on it, and for that choke, we've got the Patternmaster Black Mamba. It's a 690 construction, and this is Patternmaster's kind of do-all choke. You can run turkey loads through it, waterfowl stuff, buckshot, and it kind of does well with all of it. We've seen good performances with all of those different loads as well. It does have what I believe is called their coil zone gas over constriction technology in it. Now, how much does that really make a difference? I don't know, but you can see the spirals on there, and that is the same on the inside of the choke to let gases kind of escape around it and help constrict your shot column a little bit. So definitely a little bit of an interesting combo, and with it being a 690 constriction, it's pretty much right about your standard full choke. So we'll see how this combo does. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the big sheet of paper at 40 yards, as well as the chronograph so we can get our velocity, and the templates that we can lay up over our target when we go check out our results. So let's get you guys to view that target and see how the Super X 16 pellet 1 buck shells can do through the 870 and the Black Mamba 690. Might work out pretty good, or that choke might just not be the perfect combo for these shells. I don't know yet, but let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, so that shell gave us 1256 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1250. So from that 24-inch barrel, plus a little bit of choke out the end, we're pretty well right on the money with what we should be. So looking perfect for a velocity up here. But how did they actually pattern down there at 40? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. For a reference, the white dot was the point of aim. The paper's 36 inches wide by about 44 inches tall, and we did have all 16 pellets on our paper. You can see all of them right there around our point of aim, and that's a pretty solid looking pattern overall there. I did measure the pattern, both up and down and left and right, which gave us a 17.5 by 14.5 inch spread, so 17.5 tall, 14.5 wide, and that's a pretty decent size for a buckshot pattern down here at 40 yards. It might not be the tightest pattern we've seen, but I would say it's pretty close to top 10 area. Anything under 20 inches is what I consider to be a pretty nice performer, and if we can get under the 15-inch mark, then we really start to look pretty impressive, and we're pretty much right there at it. So moving in here and looking at our pattern, we definitely had a good number of our pellets right there around our point of aim, but this bottom right corner did kind of string out just a little bit. If those couple lower pellets were right up there around that white dot, then we would have a much nicer pattern, but we did kind of string that bottom corner out a little bit, and I have my suspicions as to why we saw that, but we'll look at that here in a little bit when we look at our wad. Either way, just on the bare sheet of paper, looks pretty decent, minus that bottom right corner. I can already tell you, it's absolutely capable of getting the job done out there on a hunt, but let's throw a couple templates up, which will give us a little better reference as to how it performed. So first up is our 10-inch circle, and since we were pretty centered up, I went ahead and put it right in the middle of our pattern, and we had 5 out of the 16 pellets within a 10-inch circle at 40 yards, and that is pretty average, I would say. Definitely nothing that's going to blow us away, but it's more than good enough of getting the job done, and you can see everything else is behind that template except these couple right down here at the bottom that are just barely outside of it. So everything is still condensed right there, but you can also see the bottom right corner of that core is missing a couple pellets within there, which are those few down there at the bottom. So nothing that's going to blow us away for a core, but plenty good enough at the same time. But let's throw a couple animal templates up and see how it would look in a hunting scenario. So here's our deer template, and when we line it up with our point of aim, we would have had somewhere in the ballpark of 13 to 14 pellets that would have hit the deer if you include the one down there in his front leg. So yep, more than good enough to get the job done on a deer hunt all day long. Having 13 to 14 pellets of one buck right through the vitals area right there is plenty good enough, and he's probably not going to make it very far, if anywhere at all, on you. But once again, we can see that void right down there to the right of that white dot. It's nothing major. You would have still absolutely gotten the job done on that deer all day long, but it is there. However, you do have a pretty nice condensed area of pellets. Most of them are right through the vitals on that deer, so you're not going to have a ton of meat damage to worry about. So overall, not really a whole lot to complain about other than that one little void there. So now let's swap over to our hog template, which I think is going to look pretty much the same, but I've got it, so we might as well take a peek at it and see how that one looks. So here's that hog template, and like I suspected, pretty well the exact same story. Absolutely good enough for a hog hunt, no doubt about it. And for those of you predator hunters out there as well that might be looking to use one buck to have a little bit bigger of a pellet and carry a little more energy out there at range, a coyote would be just a touch smaller than this hog template is, and you would still have a good handful of pellets on that guy as well. So more than good enough for that situation. So overall here today, it's a solid pattern. There's not a whole lot to complain about other than just that one void over there. It's just a little bit of an annoyance to have such a nice pattern going with one little bad spot in it. If that's the combo I had or wanted to run with, then yeah, I would absolutely use it out to 40 yards and it would be perfectly fine. Whether it be two-legged creatures or four-legged creatures, to 40 yards, it's going to work. So definitely not terrible overall. And here's the wad out of that shell. Not all Super X shells have a wad, but these particular ones do. As you can see, nothing fancy in design necessarily, but we did have one of these pedals break off of here. Some wads are designed to kind of have breakaway pedals, but I don't think this is one of them. And this very well could be the reason why we saw those couple of flyers down there at the bottom of our pattern. If this broke off as it was trying to go through the choke or something like that, it could have thrown those couple pellets down low and to the right. It's a possibility. It could or couldn't be the case, and it's really hard to ever tell that without a super slow-mo camera or something. Either way, nothing else really too special to take note of as far as the wad goes. Everything else looks perfectly fine on it. So I think it did its job pretty decently, all things considered, today. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? I would say that combo worked out pretty decently for us. That's probably one of the better patterns we've seen from these shells. They've been pretty average so far, so that's definitely not a terrible performance for them at all. I just wish that little void was filled in a little bit better there. If it was, then we would have a pretty fantastic pattern on our hands. But as always, leave your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Super X 1 buck shells or one of those Patternmaster Black Mamba chokes? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or a combo that you would hunt with? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see with either those Super X 1 buck loads or that Black Mamba choke? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description down below if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.